There's nothing worse than watching a masterpiece get passed over. Whether it was bad timing, unfair competition, or just the Game Awards being the Game Awards, some legendary titles were clearly robbed. Today, we're looking at the games that should have walked away with Game of the Year, but didn't. This is Chris from HiddenPatch. Let's talk about the unsung champions of their year. First off, we have the samurai epic that stole our hearts, but somehow not the trophy. Ghost of Tsushima. This PlayStation exclusive from Sucker Punch dropped in 2020 and instantly became a fan favorite. Visually stunning, emotionally powerful, and filled with cinematic duels and breathtaking landscapes, Ghost of Tsushima felt like playing through a living Akira Kurosawa film. Its combat was fluid and challenging. The world was immersive without relying on endless UI clutter. And Jin Sakai's story of honor versus survival hit home for so many players. But despite this critical and community praise, it got absolutely overshadowed at the Game Awards by The Last of Us Part 2. Now look, that game definitely had its audience, but the split was loud. Social media exploded with debates over whether Ghost of Tsushima was the real Game of the Year. It even won the Player's Voice Award, which says a lot. In the eyes of many fans, Ghost of Tsushima was the true GOTY, a beautiful, artful experience that deserved more than just a runner-up ribbon. Now, for one of the most innovative open-world games of its time, that got completely buried under a Nintendo juggernaut. Horizon Zero Dawn. Released in 2017, Horizon Zero Dawn was a huge leap forward for Guerrilla Games. It gave us a fresh protagonist in Aloy, a beautiful post-apocalyptic world filled with mechanical beasts, and some of the most strategic, satisfying combat in any RPG. This wasn't just another checklist open world. It had lore, mystery, and emotional storytelling packed into every inch of its robot-infested wilderness. But unfortunately, it launched in the same year as The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and yeah, that game kind of swallowed everything in its path. While Horizon still got plenty of love from fans and critics, it never had a real shot at winning Game of the Year. And that's a shame, because it wasn't just a technical marvel, it proved Guerrilla could do more than just Killzone. It laid the foundation for one of PlayStation's best new franchises. If it had launched literally any other year, it might have walked away with the crown. Next up, the loudest, fastest, most brutally fun Game of the Year snub we've ever seen, Doom Eternal. Released in 2020, Doom Eternal was pure chaos, in the best possible way. It built on the 2016 reboot with tighter mechanics, more mobility, crazier weapons, and a combat loop that made you feel like a demon-slaying god. Every fight was a puzzle of violence, juggling ammo, armor, and health, in a non-stop ballet of destruction. Critics loved it. Players loved it. Even people who don't usually like shooters respected how polished and unapologetically Doom this game was. But when it came time for the Game Awards, Doom Eternal didn't stand a chance. It was up against The Last of Us Part 2, a cinematic, emotionally charged narrative experience that dominated every category. And look, The Last of Us Part 2 is great in its own right, but Doom Eternal represented a different kind of greatness. The kind that rewards gameplay-first design, fluid movement, and absolute adrenaline. It may not have made you cry, but it made you feel unstoppable. And that's worth something too. Next up, the remake that redefined what a remake could even be, Resident Evil 2. In 2019, Capcom pulled off something miraculous. Resident Evil 2 Remake didn't just polish the original, it rebuilt it from the ground up, blending nostalgia with cutting-edge horror design. The over-the-shoulder perspective, atmospheric lighting, and terrifying sound design made every hallway a potential heart attack. And Leon and Claire never looked better. This wasn't just fan service, it was a masterclass in modern game design. It respected the source material while delivering something completely fresh, which is insanely hard to pull off. But when Game of the Year time came around, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice took the crown. A great game, no doubt, but RE2 Remake felt like it set a new bar for how older games could evolve. Some argue remakes shouldn't win GOTY, but this one wasn't just a visual upgrade. It was survival horror perfection, and easily one of the most immersive gaming experiences of the decade. Now for the game that brought pure happiness to the Switch era, Super Mario Odyssey. In 2017, Odyssey wasn't just another Mario game. It was the Mario game. A globe-trotting sandbox adventure packed with charm, creativity, and chaos. Each kingdom felt handcrafted with love, from the Metro Kingdom's city vibes to the hauntingly weird Ruined Kingdom. The hat possession mechanic, Cappy, was wild. You could possess a T-Rex, a literal T-Rex, and somehow it worked. Odyssey nailed fluid movement, level design, and that nostalgic Mario magic. Critics and fans adored it. But despite all the praise, it was forced to share the spotlight with The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which ended up taking home Game of the Year. And fair enough, BOTW was a revolution. But for many fans, Odyssey brought back a kind of joy gaming hadn't seen in years. Some say it was Nintendo at its absolute peak, and it still walked away without the trophy. Next up, the game that dripped gothic horror and brutal combat and still got overlooked: Bloodborne. From Software's Gothic Nightmare was a genre-defining experience, faster, more aggressive, and stylistically distinct from Dark Souls. With its eerie Victorian horror aesthetic, grotesque enemy design, and cryptic lore, Bloodborne carved out a legacy of its own. The combat was pure adrenaline, dodge, punish, and repeat, and it rewarded skilled players with that satisfying rush of triumph. It released in 2015 to massive critical acclaim, only to get completely overshadowed by The Witcher 3. And while Geralt's epic journey definitely earned its accolades, many fans argue that Bloodborne pushed boundaries in a more experimental and unforgettable way. It was raw, relentless, and unlike anything else on PlayStation at the time. It may not have taken the Game of the Year crown, but in the eyes of the community, it was a true horror action classic. Yo, you've made it halfway through the list. Appreciate you sticking around. And hey, you just unlocked the secret achievement, Hunter's Honor. Drop that phrase in the comments so we know you're a real one. While you're here, make sure to like the video if you're vibing with it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got plenty more gaming deep dives on the way. All right, let's keep it going. Soaring into our next pick with pixel-perfect precision, Celeste. This indie gem didn't just come out of nowhere. It climbed its way into the hearts of gamers with tight platforming, emotional storytelling, and a powerful message about mental health. Released in 2018, Celeste stood tall among the giants, earning a Game of the Year nomination. But let's be real. Up against God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Spider-Man, it never stood a chance. And that's the tragedy. Celeste wasn't just good for an indie game. It was one of the best games of the entire year. It proved you don't need a massive budget to create a meaningful experience. The soundtrack, the gameplay loop, the symbolism, everything just clicked. Fans still argue that it deserved the spotlight far more than some of its AAA competition. Gliding in like a cryptic Kojima fever dream, Death Stranding. This one's always going to be a debate. Some people thought it was a walking simulator with delivery side quests. Others saw it as an emotional, cinematic masterpiece ahead of its time. One thing's for sure, nobody expected Hideo Kojima to drop a game like this right after leaving Konami. Death Stranding was bold. Weird, but bold. It blended AAA visuals with a deeply symbolic narrative and a hauntingly beautiful score. And as polarizing as it was, the innovation couldn't be denied. In 2019, it lost Game of the Year to Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. A great game, no doubt, but many felt Death Stranding pushed the boundaries of what video games could be, while Sekiro simply perfected what we already knew. Whether you loved it or hated it, Death Stranding stood out as a truly unique vision that deserved more love from the award shows. Sliding in with one of the biggest gaming robberies of all time, Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar crafted a living, breathing world that blurred the line between game and cinematic art. From the snow-capped intro to the heartbreaking final hours, every inch of this world felt handcrafted. Arthur Morgan's character arc, one of the best-written protagonists in gaming, period. The attention to detail was insane. Horses had dynamic testicle physics. Yes, that happened. And yet, God of War took home Game of the Year. Now listen, Kratos' comeback was legendary, no denying that. But fans couldn't help but feel that RDR2's sprawling story, emotional beats, and immersive world-building deserved the crown. Some players still call it the best game of the decade. And it didn't even win Game of the Year. That's not just a snub, that's a full-blown train robbery. Before we wrap up, we've got an honorable mention that technically did win Game of the Year, but still got done a little dirty in a few key categories. Elden Ring. Yep. Elden Ring absolutely crushed 2022, and it rightfully walked away with the Game of the Year trophy. But somehow, it didn't win for Best Narrative or Best Score/Music. Two categories where it was heavily favored. Instead, God of War Ragnarok swept most of the technical awards, leaving From Software fans feeling like Elden Ring's genius was overlooked, outside of just the big headline win. The world design? Legendary. Lore and environmental storytelling? Next level. And the music? Come on. Have you heard Radon's boss theme? Even though it officially took the Game of the Year trophy crown, many fans still argue it was robbed in the places where it truly stood out. So, yeah, this win still feels like a loss in some ways. And finally, the web slinger that soared, swung, and somehow still got snubbed? Marvel's Spider-Man 2018. This one's still a sore spot for a lot of fans. Marvel's Spider-Man didn't just live up to the hype, it redefined superhero games. From the buttery smooth web swinging across NYC to a genuinely emotional story and pitch-perfect combat, Insomniac nailed nearly everything. We actually covered this game in our Games That Got Everything Right, except one thing, video. But even then, that one thing wasn't the gameplay or story. It was the fact that it got overlooked. And it wasn't just a pretty good game, it was great. The only problem? It released in 2018, the same year as God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2. Absolute chaos. In any other year, this would have swept the floor. To this day, many believe Spider-Man should have walked away with more than just nominations. It should have webbed up a Godwin win too. And that's the list. Some of the best games in recent memory that somehow didn't get the Garrows and Ward crown. Whether they were overshadowed, misunderstood, or just plain snubbed, each one left its mark. Oh, and if you're still here, you just unlocked another secret achievement, Actual Game Critic. Drop Actual Game Critic in the comments to let us know you made it to the end. And hey, we'll be watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe for more underrated gaming gems, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one. This is Chris from HiddenPatch. Catch you in the next video.